Bo Levi Mitchell, Hamilton Tiger Cats quarterback. Man, so much to go in terms of where we could talk with you first. But I want to talk about your contract, the restructure. You wanted to take out some of the prove-it type stuff. You did that with new general manager Ted Gavaya, from what I hear, mostly on your own.
Yeah, I mean, I've done so many contracts now, right? I've obviously got an agent. It was something where I knew what I wanted to get out of it. I wasn't trying to, rake them over the coals and be like, hey, I did this last year, pay me for it. It was, I want to be here. I want to take out some of the playtime incentive stuff, and just be able to go out there and think about playing football and not think about your contract or if you play or if you're at 9 games or 14 games. So yeah, it was one of those where, Ted and I had a great understanding about it and just made it happen quick.
What was it like dealing with Ted, just with him being new?
It was awesome. I mean, I think we hired him for a reason. He's a guy that's been around a winning organization for a really long time and done some great things. And from what I can see and what I've heard just talking to him, he's going to do a hell of a job at this. So I'm excited about it. I mean, everything he's done, he's stuck to, true to his word. And just seems like, a guy's guy. Like, he just wants to talk football, talk X's and O's. Like, a lot of GMs just kind of, where's the contract? All right, cool. Here's the numbers. Like, he wants to talk football, talk to family. And he said, I want to, grab a coffee, actually get to know you. But he's had me in on a lot of the process when it comes about, to guys, who we like and who we don't like. And it's been fun to chat with.
Did you get some of those guys that you wanted?
Yeah, this is a big one. Yeah. Yeah. There's been some, obviously some great additions. I know. I'm excited about it, man. I don't know who I'm going to throw the ball to play.
A lot of choice.
Yeah.
Potentially the top one being Kenny Lawler. How much were you in his ear during the negotiating period?
Man, so, when I was in Calgary, I think I overdid it, trying to, I guess not recruit guys, but, once you found out a guy was a free agent, just being in his ear, like, hey, we're going to do this. I'm going to get you the ball so much. I'm going to throw you so many touchdowns. And there's a lot of promises that are really hard to keep, as a quarterback, where you're reading a play and, trying to make something happen. So, I just kind of sat back, and then, if Ted or, Moss or somebody's like, hey, just, chat to this guy, see if you vibe with him, tell him what Hamilton's like, or tell him what it's like having a family here, right? Or tell him what it's like with, our facility compared to maybe, somebody else's facility. So just trying to give those tidbits of like where you actually have the true knowledge. And just, I think when you can give that to a guy, just kind of help him along a little bit and not be like sounding desperate, like, I need you. Like, you have to have you, right? Like, it's no, man, like, if you come here, we're gonna have some fun.
You've put down roots in Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny had some roots in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Was living there.
Mm-hmm.
So were you surprised that he actually left, considering that plus the Bombers going to 5 straight Grey Cups?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody, there's always a turning point for them of like in their own career, their own journey of football where they feel like they need to change, right? I know they had a great setup with their family, with his child, and I think they were comfortable with what they had in Winnipeg, which I've been there, and that was something I kind of chatted with him about. Was just I've been in that situation. It can seem a little bit weird or scary to kind of leave, but he has left before, right? So I think he just I think he knows Ted. I think him and Ted have a great relationship, and I think he saw what we did last year, and just ultimately wanted to be a part of it.
You threw for over 5,000 yards last year, jumped you up the all-time list to 12th. If you have another year where you're over 4,800, I believe the number is, you could get to 8th. How far do you envision yourself climbing up that list?
I mean, 6-7 years ago, I was chasing Anthony, right? Like that was in my mind. I had it written down as a goal, 20 years, 4,000 yards a year, 80,000 yards. That's how you get there. And then when the injuries happen, you quickly realize, it is insane what Anthony Calvillo did. To be able to put 80,000 yards up in professional football, have that kind of career and that longevity, and be with some amazing, great coaches, obviously, but just a consistent play he kept for so long. It's, it's miraculous. And then you look at the other guys on that list, Damon, Matt, and other, a lot of guys up there with Ricky and everybody. It's going to be awesome to land wherever I land. I'm a part of a great group and a great echelon of people that have been in this league and played quarterback. I don't know how high I'll climb, but wherever it ends up being, it'll be a special one.
You got through those injuries, had a fully healthy season last year, throw for over 5,000 yards. Does that make you think that you can play getting closer to your 40s or into your 40s?
I mean, I don't know. I think when I looked at that early on in my career, it was chasing, Calvillo, Ricky, and Henry, of that longevity of how they played the game. And the one thing that I have a very close, memory to is Henry going out on top against me, Ricky going out on top against me, right? So I think I've always envisioned myself going out on top, winning a championship, being able to walk off into the sunlight that way. Not necessarily a list of passing yards or touchdowns or MOPs or anything like that, but being able to walk off with the last game you played being a win.
If you won one in 2025, could that be it?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think I'm at the point in my career where I still enjoy working out. I still enjoy getting hit. Still enjoy playing football and the grind of it. Um, but I think wanting to go out on top and doing the right thing, I don't. I don't know if I envision myself, going and playing for another team. I think I was kind of always said that after Calgary, I want to play with one more team, and whether that's 3 years, 10 years, 5 years, whatever it might be, let that run its course and try to win the championship.
You're looking pretty young from some of the workout videos that I've seen, specifically with PJ Walker.
Yeah.
I want to get your perspective on him and where you think his potential is in the league.
Spin the ball. I mean, I always knew that. I watched him with June Jones at the Houston Roughnecks, because obviously that's, who my coach was in college as well. So I was watching it to watch June and watch his team. And then the first thing that stood out to me was PJ Walker. And I'm like, man, this guy can play the game. And then he got to go to the NFL, play with Carolina a bit, and showed again, like, this guy can play. I put that little funny caption on my Instagram post because I've been working and my legs. I was like, look at my legs in the mirror after I leg pressed, and I was like, yo, my legs look kind of big. And the next day I worked out with PJ, and I was like, I am tiny. Like, this dude is ripped. But man, he's in a great spot too. With Dave, with Vernon, those guys over there, with Dakota Pruko, now as a quarterback coach. I got to just kind of give him some of my knowledge on the game of what I know up here, and work with him a little bit. And I'm going back down to South Carolina, so I'll work with him a little bit more too.
Can he be a starter in the future?
I think he can be a starter anywhere he wants. He's that kind of player.
How quickly do you think it could take a guy like that? And I say that because he started in the NFL. He was in the XFL, I guess it was at the time too.
Yeah, I think when you're evaluating probably any position, but quarterback especially, is when they've gone places, are they still a potential, or have they climbed their way to the top of the roster for a reason, right? Anywhere he's gone, he's found the top of the roster. So I think there's a reason for that. I think he's smart. I think he understands the game of football. What he did in Houston, what he did, in the NFL, I think he shows that no matter what the level of football is, whatever the playbook is, he can learn it and he can go out there and make the right decisions.
What's your definition of a superstar?
Oh, man. Probably a little bit different than the one you're going to ask about. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of superstars in this league.
In the CFL, how many do you see, and what level do you have to get to in that league to earn that moniker?
I think anytime you're winning multiple championships, I think anytime you're winning, the best player in the league, winning a most outstanding player, I think you're putting yourself, in those talks of being an absolute superstar. There's not a city in Canada I can walk in where people don't recognize me, right? And there's plenty of guys in our league that are that same way. So to say there aren't superstars in the league, and listen, I know Ed. I don't think Ed was saying what people took it that way. I understand when you get the words, you take that clip. I understand that that's the way it comes off, and I do totally get that. But from having a lot of personal conversations one-on-one with Ed, I know that's not the guy he is. I think he was just trying to drive his point home about the specific player and then their situation. And he keeps a lot of things very close to the chest, right? So I think he tries to say things vaguely without giving y'all too much information. And it came off, obviously, in a way that, doesn't look great. But, I definitely know that that's not what he truly believes.
To be fair, after he sort of gave his more fuller definition, he was talking about, I believe it was Muhammad Ali and Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And to me, those are global icons that are hard to compare. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think when he's speaking about superstars, he's talking about the Doug Flutys, like, Pinball Clemens, guys that have transcended this sport and in the past have gotten U.S. and European, whatever it might be, people to watch the game. right? Like, have y'all seen this Doug Flutie guy playing for Toronto, throwing for 6,000 yards every year, winning multiple MLPs? You know, get them to go watch the game. And maybe that's what he's speaking about. Like, it's the kind of players that cause everybody to want to watch, no matter where they are, right? Like, we all went and watched Caitlin Clark. And, people can lie and say they were watching college, women's college basketball or WNBA before that or not. But I knew that when I heard the stories about Caitlin, I had to see it. And when I saw it, I understood it. And then what that made me realize is how many other great players were on the court, right? So I think he's talking about those kind of players that, cause people that aren't normally a fan of your game to become a fan of your game.
There are some people that believe that you have superstar talent as a broadcaster. How close do you feel like you are to that? And does that pull you that way because you are so well-spoken and you have gotten your toes wet a little bit with TSN?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I've talked about wanting to do. I had a lot of talks with PG, when he was the guy, and I'm sure I'll have talks with, the upper echelon as well, the current upper echelon whenever it comes to that time. I do enjoy broadcasting. I think being on the panel is fun. I just love talking football, right? And I can do it at home on my couch, or I can do it with some people that want to talk and be on a camera and do it about a lead that I really love and enjoy. So, yes, it does pull me that way a little bit at times, but it's something that I'll just kind of let naturally happen.
Is there a spot that you feel like you would want to do more? And I mean, like color commentary in the booth or be on the panel?
Yeah, I don't know. I've only tried panel. I think doing the Tom Brady and Tony Romo route of color, I think would be fun. I definitely want to try it. I'm never taking broadcast or anything like that. Journalism, anything in school, and I think I would love to take a class and actually kind of get taught the proper things that I need to be looking for and paying attention to. But I mean, talking the game of football, I can do it all day.
What did you think of Brady's first year in the booth?
I thought the beginning was not as good as Tony, right? But I think by the end of it, I enjoyed listening to Tom more. So I think he grew into it a little bit. Which, man, I mean, dude, he's the best player to ever play. So I mean, I think there's a lot of pressure there to maybe try to do too much when you first start in the panel, right? Like Tony was guessing plays, right? And understanding this is what they're doing. Here's what they're breaking down. Here's the play they're checking to. Tom probably felt like I've got to outdo that now, and I think he's just kind of coming to his own as who he is as a person. As a broadcaster, it's been fun to watch.
I want to get your broadcaster and your pro take on Taylor Elgersma. You spent some time with during training camp.
Oh, yeah.
Getting legit NFL interest. Could get selected in the later rounds. Likely going to have multiple undrafted free agent offers. Do you think he could be a guy? You've been through this too down there in the NFL that gets a legitimate look.
I really do. I threw with him on my own in the off season last year, then had him in camp last year as well. Thought he held his own. He was still young, and then now he's went through this entire year of having another great year of football. Right? He's got the body for it. He's got the mind for it. He works for it. And the biggest thing for me, like coming out, like playing in an all-star game, is all of a sudden you're behind NFL linemen. Like everybody's averaging 6'4", 6'5" across the board. For me, that's hard to see. Right? For the Fluties of the world, you got to look around and kind of see through guys. A lot of NFL, they look for, do you have the hand size? Are you tall enough? Do you have the frame that we can add some weight to? And he's got that. So, I mean, take the talent he already has, the potential that put him with a great coach, a great strength guy that can build that guy. I think he can definitely be an NFL mainstay.
Does he have, I don't know how to describe property, like elite arm strength, or how would you describe when you've seen him throw? Category, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I've never judged people off arm strength. I've always judged people more off your decision making when you're actually getting to get inside the huddle, call the play. Do you have the moxie to be a guy people want to listen to? And I felt like he had that. Right? Like, there was times where he stepped in front of me to make a throw because he wanted to make another throw again. That takes a lot for a college kid to step in front of you and be like, hold on, let me get another one quick. Right? A lot of guys just kind of like back off and stay to the side and say yes or no, sir. Like, he's an athlete. He's a baller. He has an amazing arm. I definitely don't want to downplay that. He has a very, very good arm. I just don't know who or where I would compare it to. Yeah.
That makes me think of his pro day in Buffalo. It was like it was his house. The UB quarterback was there, and he was talking and communicating, and that really stuck out to the NFL scouts. Where did you throw with him in the offseason when he wasn't in your camp?
Just at Soccer World. So he actually brought down some of his Laurier receivers, and then I had some of my guys here. So I think the potential first pick in the draft or second, Ethan Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Ethan was down there throwing with us as well. So I got to see both of them, man. They're both amazing players, and there's a reason that they had a great year.
You know your U Sports ball now. You sound like a
A
Canadian.
little bit. I'm trying to get there.
Did you have your passport yet?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
dual citizenship. No,
because it took Henry.
they won't let me right now with all these tariffs going on, man. They don't want Americans up here.
True. Looking into 2025, you come off that 5,000 yard season, Scott Milanovic. He had nothing but praise for you in the off season. Can you do that again? Double down?
Absolutely. I mean, I think obviously the potential on paper is there to do even better. I think if you ask Scott, his answer would probably be, I don't want us to have to throw for 5,500 yards to be in that position. I think we'd love to be throwing for 280, 290, 300 a game, but running for 100, 150 a game, right? We don't want to have to lean on the passing game to only be successful. We have a line that can move guys, so we want to be able to run the football. That's how you control the game. You look at Winnipeg, you look at Toronto, look at the teams that are making it to the end. They have a run game, and it's got to be consistent. It's got to be every game. It can't be, is it on today? Is it not on today? So, yes, I can. The potential is there. I can throw for 6,000 yards. But, I think we'd like to be a more balanced offense in order to be a better team.
Who do you view as the team to beat in the East to get to the Grey Cup?
I mean, if you're not allowing me to pick us,
you can if you want.
Oh, then, obviously I'm going to pick us. I don't care where we ended last year, the year before. I believe in our staff. I believe in the guys we have. I believe in the guys in the building. And if you're not wearing black and gold, you're not with us.
In terms of the rivalry with Toronto and Montreal, it seems like they're obviously naturally with Toronto. They've been the top in this division. Have won the last 3 Grey Cups, I think,
right,
before Winnipeg had won 2 in a row before. What's it going to take to get past both those teams?
I think last year we proved that we can beat those teams, right? We had a bad game in Montreal for the first one, but we've proved we can play with them. We beat Toronto 3 times last year. Had back and forth games in Ottawa. I think all of them were like last second finishes, except for the one win we had out in our place. But I think we proved we can play with and beat anybody in our league in the East. It's just going to take us to continue to get better and get off the hotter starts. I don't want to sit here and say we need to go 1-0 or 2-0 or 3-0. I think the mindset in our building right now is we want to win that first preseason game so that all the rookies, all the young guys, anybody coming to Hamilton has that feeling of winning. And then you carry that to second game, then you carry that into the first game of the season. You don't want to go out and treat preseason like it's nothing. Go 0-2. We're not going to play these guys. Play your starters. Now you're 0-2, and now you're like, okay, now let's go figure out how to win. You want to figure out how to win in training camp, in preseason, so that carries into the season.
How much do you hear about this Grey Cup drought from the fans around Hamilton?
I mean, not a lot. I think it's one of those things that, yes, you hear about. It's kind of cliche. It's the same as, every year where the Grey Cup is being hosted, everybody's going to ask that team 1,000 times, is there more pressure because the Grey Cup's in your city? Like, no, it's our job is to get there. I don't care where it is. It's going to be the same no matter what. And yes, do I care that the drought is there? Of course. I mean, that's why I came here. I wanted to be the guy that helped bring that Grey Cup to the city. Be the first one in the 2000s to make it happen. And because to me, that's how you leave a legacy, is do things that have not been done for a long time. And I think everybody in the building feels the same way.
Can you imagine winning one, ending that drought, leave the legacy you're talking about, and then walking off into the sunset, as they say?
I see it every day. Every day when I'm working out, this is the picture I'm seeing. So absolutely.